Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm David. We got to talk about episode 2 of The Bachelor with Matt James.
Yeah, we do. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can find that link in the description. Sarah.
David.
I didn't know that Victoria was simultaneously going to be the absolute worst and also kind of be the only reason that the season is interesting so far.
Oh boy. I don't 100% agree, but it seems like a lot of people would agree with you if I'm reading the internet correctly. How is she absolutely bonkers, but also the show?
I'm really trying to, I really am watching her carefully because I'm like, is this an act? Like, are you an improver? Your lower third says queen. That's a joke, So, and then you say that you are literally a queen. But I'm like, I don't know. She's really good at keeping this act up. I will say, if it is an act, she is committed 100%.
Yeah, I'm not so sure it's an act. I'm more leaning towards being actually concerned for her mental health.
Truly.
But we can get to that later because first we're first we have Shirtless Matt and what are we on a Peloton and I don't what's happening.
He exercises a lot. And then he of course is in his outdoor shower. Just, when I'm in the shower, Sarah, I also wipe the water off of my body before I towel off. That's something everybody does, right?
I feel like the producers are some people are going to find Matt attractive. Some people aren't. That's debatable, but no one will debate his chest and abs. So let's just focus on that.
Zoom in.
That's all they care about. Did we remind you what his chest and abs look like?
I just can't imagine the conversations that a producer has to have with someone to are they just okay, we're going to do the shirtless stuff now. So just suck it up and do it. We got to get you in the shower. We need you to feel yourself up.
They're not casting people who are going to say otherwise. They're
true.
Casting people who they say, okay, let's get shots in the shower. And they just go to the shower.
They're great. And they just take off all their clothes and they're like, you can actually keep your underwear on. That's fine. And they're like, I'll just go nude. It's all good. They're very much exhibitionists, I guess.
Yes. They don't complain at all. So that's how they make their lives easier. So that's how we're going to open here and probably for the whole season. But now we get to find out that we're going to have 2 one-on-ones and a group date.
Yes. And even with these, this is an extra one-on-one, essentially. That's kind of what's different here. Even with this extra one-on-one, they're kind of making a big deal of it's a record number of girls. So not everyone is going to get a date. And I'm like, that's how it always is. For the first few weeks, there's always girls who don't get time. And then they're desperate for time at the cocktail party and they still don't find the time. And then they go home. This is not a new storyline. But we're also getting moments of Victoria and Katie, who are on a collision course, and I'm into it. But they're both sort of I'm not into sororities. I'm not here for the girls. And, we always get that too. Everybody's just here for Matt. We get it. We know that you're on The Bachelor and you're fighting for his affection. Okay.
But here's what's funny. Okay, so here's where it's confusing about Queen Victoria's bet. Is this a bet? So we get the announcement, the card, the Brie is the first one-on-one. So of course, one person is being the polite person and is oh, that's nice for Brie. And Victoria's let's not pretend that any of us are happy about this. The first one-on-one card, just hold up, Victoria, just a second. But no, she's I want my camera time, so I will start from zero and continue.
Absolutely. And they're Victoria, you sound kind of jealous. And she's I'm not jealous. I'm just saying that I'm the one that Brie has. And I'm that's jealousy when you want something that someone else has. You're jealous of her.
You're I am the definition of jealousy, but do not call me you are bullying me. She's like, if anyone says you're negative, she's like, I am not negative. I just hate all of you and I'll have nothing to do with you.
Like, what? She absolutely is like, I'm so sick of you guys already. I'm like, you're just out here trying to make enemies of everybody. Like, immediately. Really what is going on?
She really is. She's like, I'm here for Matt only. And I get that. Everyone is there for Matt only. But like, just imagine that you married Matt and you guys have to go to a work party, right?
Yeah.
Do you show up and go, I don't care about any of you guys. I only love my husband.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how you behave.
Right. Also, you have to coexist with these people, like them or not. So like, why are you
literally have a roommate?
Yeah, she is like literally like I was looking at this mansion that they're staying in, this resort, whatever. I'm like, they absolutely do not need roommates. Like there are enough rooms for them to give everybody a room, but they're doing this for drama and it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're probably housing the producers there too. So I don't know,
but it's huge. Like, my God.
Massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
so Bri goes on her one-on-one date. And
are we surprised that she gets the first date? No. When they were like, who's going to get the first one-on-one? I was like, Bri.
Yeah.
Yes, Bri. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She was in my like top 3 for like gonna get an early one-on-one. Sarah was another one and she gets the other one-on-one in this episode. So
yes,
we kind of like, now we're keeping our eye extra hard on Bri, she goes on a disaster of a date. I think that's how I would characterize it.
Okay. Why is this the first date ever? It's ATV riding. First off, it's ATV riding.
Period. Right.
Yeah. And I love an ATV. I grew up in the country. Like I'm all for ATVs, but I do not want that to be our first date. Like that's a no, thank you. I'll pass. That's after we've dated for maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Like then we can go do ATVs. It's
like, it's a date that you would go on where if someone said, do you trust me? You could say yes and actually mean it, right? Because you've known the person for long enough. But here, Bri has to get on Matt's ATV. And first of all, he's already driving the ATV like a psychopath. Yes. I was like, is this a stunt man? Like, I didn't believe that it was Matt on the thing because he was going crazy on this thing. And then he's like, Bri, hop on. Do you trust me? And she's like, well, I don't know. And then he just takes off and goes like is doing figure eights or whatever in this muddy field and then tips over and Bri has to pretend to be okay with it and she's like, oh my God, you goof, I can't believe you did it. Oh man, after I just said I trust you.
They literally roll the ATV. This is a nightmare. I do not want to be thrown from an ATV. Again, grew up in the country around ATVs. I know people who have died on ATVs. Like I lost childhood friends from ATV accidents. They're not safe. And you're just recklessly driving this adorable young girl around like this. Oh my God. Yeah. I was having a panic attack for her because of course she has to be like, haha, you're so fun, Matt. This is such a great date. I'm having such a blast.
Also, when you say they rolled the ATV, that's accurate. The ATV is upside down. Like that thing could have ended up on top of them. Thank God they kind of got out of it unscathed. It could have been so much worse.
Oh my God. But she's also muddy. Okay. Yes, it could have been worse, but also mud. No, you lost me. You're making me get muddy on our first date again, 6 months later. Oh.
Yeah. Right. Disgusting. So then he's like, well, okay, let's get in the hot tub because that's what they do on Bachelor dates. They get in the hot tub. And this is like one of those dates where they do an activity and then they get in the hot tub and they talk about that activity, right? They don't like talk about anything new. They're just like, remember when we went ATV driving? And it's like, there's so much like fodder for you to get to know each other here. And you're just talking about like this flipped over ATV, like talk about something else. But they're, before they get in the hot tub. Well, yeah, I'm sure she was. But before they get in the hot tub, of course, Matt just peels his sweater off. And Bri is literally like, okay.
Because he has to axe wood, right. David. So
with a baby axe. That axe was tiny.
my note says shirt off with an axe. Like, what's happening right now? But she's also like, oh, okay. Wow.
All right.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. She's like, I don't hate this, but it is still very odd that you took your shirt off to axe the wood. But okay, I guess we're about to get in the hot tub. So you're just, sort of doing things in a weird order, but fine.
It's so weird. And he says something unusual. He's like, do you think I'll get it in one hit? And she's like, and I think he was asking for her to be like, you're so good, you're gonna get it in one shot. And she just was like, I hope so. Like, I don't think she's
like,
got.
You probably could. You seem strong. Like, it's just not, because let's talk about Matt for a minute here. If there's one thing, I have many thoughts on Matt after these 2 episodes, but one thing he is not is smooth. I don't think he's got a lot of game. He's a little bit awkward, and let's just get right to it, Sarah. They get in the hot tub, they talk about whatever, and then they start kissing, and Matt apparently doesn't close his mouth ever when he kisses. He goes in with the mouth. He's like a fish eating food in a fish tank. He's like, and then he like lands on their face, mouth open. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is so weird.
I love that people are complaining about the way he kisses, because this is my nightmare, watching people kiss. It's so gross. I don't ever like it. So I actually don't know how he kisses. I'm not watching that. So I don't even know. As soon as people go in for a kiss, I'm like, what are my notes over here?
Oh my God.
So kissing in a hot tub. Like, I am not watching the way that these people, he does go, because as soon as I see him coming in, I'm like, he comes in real, like,
mouth open.
Yeah. And I don't like leading with a tongue. Please keep the tongue in the mouth. But also, he keeps his eyes open.
Yeah. Well, I was going to bring that up too. The mouth is open and the eyes are open. Like, every hole in his face is open when he's kissing. And it's very strange to watch. And I kept thinking about you, because I feel like they are adding sound effects, it feels like, with these kisses. And I know that you talk about, like, you hate the like smacking noises. And even I am bothered by it at this point with Matt. I'm just like, there's way too much noise happening. It's disgusting.
Good. Everyone get on board. Kissing, watching people kiss. I was about to say kissing is gross. No, watching people kiss is gross. But this is also a kissing episode, because you know what? We found out at the very, very beginning, because Chris walked in at one point and he was like, hey, Abigail got that first impression rose. And somebody was like, and she had the first kiss. So that means everyone knows that he's already kissed Abigail. And I feel like the theme of this episode was, I will also get a kiss. I will also get a kiss. Like, that is.
Everybody's out for a kiss, and like extra kisses, like Brie even is like on the date and she's like, can I get one more kiss? And I'm like, is this good? Like, do people like it when he comes at you with the open mouth and then just leaves the mouth open on your face? Like, I guess people are into it, seemingly. I don't know what's going on, but I will say, I got to call BS. Yeah, right. I know. I got to call BS on Abigail getting the first kiss, because I don't know if you remember, but it's either Alana or Alana. I think it's Alana.
Don't even bring up the Lady in the Tramp.
The pasta. Yeah, they kissed. And he didn't like it, but that doesn't make it not a kiss. So she got the first kiss.
All right, going on record. Abigail. David will remind us.
Absolutely, I will.
All right, so they're in a hot tub, they're talking, whatever. Now we get to go to the dinner part, where they can be cleaned up and not muddy. And they do seem to bond a bit over their family. Yeah.
Her story's interesting, like, her mom got pregnant at 13, and like, that's not always great when you're pregnant at 13. Like, that's very young, and like, hard. That's a lot to deal with. And now her mom is what, 35? Like, I don't know how. Brie seems young, and her mom is like having a new kid. And I totally get, what Brie is saying. Like, it feels like I'm not there. I'm a grown person, and now we're in quarantine, and she's pregnant, and she has this new family. And like, how do I fit in with that? So she's got an intense family situation, but Matt kind of relates just because they
They
both
both
come
didn't have
from.
dads.
Yeah, right.
In the picture, like he seemed to really relate to her on that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like feeling her. I'm like, girl, I feel you. Like being an adult in your relationships with your parents, just like so different, and it can be so confusing. And so, yeah, I loved hearing her story, and they definitely are bonding. And he gives her a rose, not surprised at all that it's going just fine. And she seems to have recovered from her ATV accident.
Yeah, I know. No injuries, thank God. But back at the ranch, the girls are talking about Victoria already. And I think they're just kind of like, initially, they're just like, what is her deal? Like, they don't necessarily hate her yet, I don't think, but they're just kind of like, wow, Victoria's like super aggressive. Like, what is going on with that girl? And then they like, it's intercut with Victoria, doing her own venting. And did you notice she only has a producer to talk to? It's someone who's in a mask. Like, she's not even having a conversation with another one of the girls. She apparently has no friends, no allies in this cast. And she's like, complaining to a producer, and you can only see it a couple of times because she kind of turns her head and you see the mask, and I'm like, the girls are not wearing masks. So
I did not even notice that, but that kind of makes sense because she kept giving us these negative sound bites. So I'm sure a producer was like, come tell me more, Victoria. Because they're literally just cutting in all the time with Victoria being like, I hate this, and now I hate this, and there's more things to hate because I'm the queen.
And then when they get the group date card, she's like, I do not want to be on a group date. Like, I would rather just wait for the one-on-one than be on a group date.
I was like, girl, I'm holding you to this. I want to see you say, no, thank you. I'll wait for my one-on-one.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. You went on a group date. I'll talk, lady. I'll talk. Yeah, she's like, I don't like any of you. I will not go on a group date with you.
Yeah, no. And then
like, please don't be on this date. Please don't be on this date.
Of course, hers is like the last name read of, I think, 7,000 names that are going on this group date. It took forever.
It was 18. I mean, whoa. What?
Yeah.
It just kept going. They were like, and Anna, and Anna, and Lauren, and Laura, and Chelsea.
She switched cards. Like, she had to go to the next index card to keep reading names. It was like, people were just like, when does this stop? You're like listing girls who aren't even here. What are you saying?
Yeah. Who are these people? Can we raise hands? Like, are they here? And then I couldn't even tell like who didn't get get included, except I did notice that Sarah's name wasn't included. So I was like, I bet you we got a Sarah. Because anyone else was just not really important.
Yeah, for sure. Now, that sort of sets up the group date. But before we go on the group date, I do want to talk about the next time Victoria flips out, which was after Bree gets her rose. They hear the fireworks. All the girls go out on the balcony to watch, or the patio, whatever it is. And they're like, oh, they're probably kissing right now. And they're kind of upset. And so, of course, Victoria's like, see? Now you're all upset. And I was upset earlier, and I was like the angry one. And now all of you know how it is. And I loved Serena C in this moment because she like doesn't even face Victoria. She just kind of like turns her head over her shoulder, and she's like this, you're getting upset. You're getting upset. And I love that line because it's just like you're getting upset.
What are you saying?
You should be embarrassed that you're this upset, Victoria.
When someone tells you you're getting upset, it's like, I'm not liking this on you, is what they're saying. It's like, what do you have a point other than like, you're getting upset?
Right.
It's like you're wearing a blue shirt. You're like, do you have a problem with my blue shirt? It's like,
right. No, it's like when someone is like, do you like my outfit? And they're like, you should change. And she's like, you're getting upset. You shouldn't be upset right now.
Yes, I loved that. And then is this also when somebody says like, we all have different opinions. Like, let's not speak for each other.
Yeah.
And Victoria's like, yes, that's what I'm saying. All of you are horrible. And they're like, but you're speaking for us.
Yeah, right. They're like, don't say you guys. Like, we're all individuals here. And I think, isn't this where the feud with Marilyn kind of starts?
Yes.
And we learn that they're roommates. And, I think it was Marilyn who said, like, don't say you guys. And Victoria's like, okay, I'll call you out. You were mean to me earlier. And she was like, how was I mean to you? And she's like, you told me you wanted to pick my brain and like learn how I think. And that's rude and da, 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 and we're roommates and blah, blah. I'm moving to the couch. So now Victoria's sleeping on the couch.
But before she moves to the couch, she says all that. And then Marilyn's like, I said, since we're rooming together, we should get to know, like, try to make this work. Yeah. And Victoria goes, I did not make up those words. You said it. And I was like, oh God, I got to write this down. I will use that for the rest of my life. Whatever you say, guys, then just go, I didn't make up those words.
Yeah.
And then just okay, so what we see here, and this, I find this interesting because what we see here is Victoria like moving her stuff to the couch. She's like, I don't even want to room with Marilyn, like not going to do this. But I saw that there was a deleted scene tweeted out or Instagrammed out or somewhere it went out that showed Victoria walking up to her room and her stuff was already put out. And people were saying that Marilyn moved her stuff out. Well, I think Victoria was saying Marilyn moved her stuff out. Like, how rude. Fine, I'll just go to the couch. But I assume a producer moved her out and is just adding fuel to this fire and making all of this happen.
Interesting. I love that. I'm gonna have to look that scene up. But yeah, she, very dramatically like wheels her suitcase away from the room and like pulls this giant blanket over her on the couch. And like, this is where she's camped out. And I honestly am like, Marilyn comes off great in this because she legitimately was trying to give Victoria a chance and be like, we just got to find a way. It's all good. Yeah. Like, we just got to find a way to communicate better because like this isn't working. And she was being totally reasonable. But you just can't reason with, well, I hate to call her crazy, but you can't reason with someone who's being unreasonable,
Yeah. They don't show us anything negative on Marilyn's end at all.
Yeah.
And so all we're seeing is Marilyn trying to just not have conflict. Like, I have to room with you. We have to date the same guy. Like, I just want to get through this is what we're seeing on Marilyn's side. And we're just seeing a lot more on Victoria's side. So hard to be against Marilyn at all in this.
It is. Yeah. So next up is the group date. We've got the whole tribe going on the group date.
Oh my God.
And
they're doing my favorite thing, David. I love when we all curse ourselves and put on our wedding dresses ahead of time and take wedding photos for something that's guaranteed not going to happen now because this is bad luck.
I know, right? The only thing I really like about this is that Franco is back. He is in a pink head-to-toe suit. And what is that? It wasn't even like a fur coat. It was like an ostrich feather, like a peacock feather coat or something. It was like
pheasant of sort.
Yes, right.
Feathers. It was not something I've ever come in contact with in the real world, but he has a full coat of it. And I said, thank you, Bachelor. Finally, you guys have done something right by flying him out and making him a part of this. He does not fit in this fall woodsy environment at all. But he's here to take these wedding photos of these cursed couples. And they're all they've picked out dresses.
They have some, somehow Victoria gets her hands on a crown. Like,
she found a crown. And this, I'll just set us up here that this is our first glimpse of Victoria's black bra, her best friend, aka her best friend, her black bra. We'll be talking more about it later, but I'm just going to bring it up because at this point, you just see a peekaboo of it. And I go, oh no, poor dear. Because she had to pick a dress, so you don't have the proper undergarments. And oh no, this peekaboo black bra is going to ruin these wedding photos for her. And that's just how we start at this point.
I mean, I'm sure she didn't care at all. Like exposing the bra seems to be something she's down with. Like she's not necessarily conforming, to that expectation of like you need the proper undergarment for a dress. It's like if my bra shows, my bra shows, and that's just what it is. So she seems fine with it.
Yeah, no, she's more than fine. It's her look.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're posing. This is another time girls get to be like, "Oh, I can kiss you." Me too. You want to kiss me?
It's awful. Yeah, and then I think it's Mari who's posing with Matt, and Victoria just walks in front of the camera.
Of course,
because she's deranged, and Mari's like, "So I think we're just going to take a few more. If you want to." I guess wait off to the side. What are you doing? And she's like, okay, but I'm next. And then poor Mari, like Mari was the one who was interrupted with the vibrator, remember? And now she's being interrupted by Victoria, Hurricane Victoria. And so then Franco, he turns away from Victoria and she is so quick to correct him. And she's like, did you forget that I was next? It's me. And he's like, oh no, of course. I'm so sorry. Yes.
How dare I? Look the other way. Like he got scolded, and this is another thing about Victoria. Like I get it if this is your character, like you walk across the camera and you're like, I'm next, and you have to make a big scene because you want to be on the show. I get that, but then to be like rude to this like beloved photographer of the Bachelor Nation, in front of your future husband, that's when I'm like, see, you're not getting it. If you're just always rude to people. That's not attractive.
Right. Then she's got the garter belt, which all the other women are like turning away. And they're like, oh my God, this is the cringiest thing I've ever seen. Yeah.
She's like, it's time for my passionate kiss and photo shoot with him. And there is the opposite of passion coming out of Matt. Like there's nothing Matt likes about this.
Nothing.
He's like,
and I'm thinking, Matt, you're stuck with this. Like, you better figure out a way. You need to give it your best Marilyn and figure out a way to make this work because you are stuck with Victoria for a while.
Absolutely. Of course, Matt sees through this. Matt was like, I'm not digging her at all. I'm not feeling it. We can all see that there's no sexual tension. Like there's nothing between the two of them. And the producers are legitimately like, but why don't you keep her? Like he has signed up for this and he's stuck.
Yeah.
That is just the job that he's getting paid to do right now.
Yeah, that's it. So then Chris Harrison shows up. Mid-group date. This is not common. What's he doing here, right? And he announces that they're playing, it's not like a paintball fight, but it's like paint with capture the flag or something. I don't even really I wasn't paying attention to the rules because I was like, what are the rules? What are we doing?
Basically, we have to have two teams competing because this is a thing that they do. David, you taught me that. Yeah. Two teams have to compete because one will get to spend time with him and the other will not. Yep. And they have to fight each other in some way. They have to battle each other. So it's capture the flag, but you're capturing a heart. And we're doing it by getting each other messy. That's where the point is coming.
I guess this is like a little bit of a workaround where they're like, ooh, we got a lot of pushback on like the wet t-shirt contest and like the mud wrestling. So we'll just keep them in their wedding dresses and they can kind of cut them up a little bit. And then we're just going to have them like slap paint on each other. And it gets pretty physical. Like girls are eating it. They're like hitting the ground pretty hard and landing on their knees. And I was surprised that all these women were like willing to go this far. I would have been like, I think I'm just going to like hang out in the back mostly.
Yeah, I actually was surprised that I enjoyed this. This was fun. I was like, yes, run. Like, because they're not, I don't know. It was like physical, but it didn't feel like the like wrestling stuff that they had in the past or like, it wasn't like fight. It was like a flag football game. Like you would tackle, you would like get up on someone. I don't know. I thought it was fun. I loved that they got to cut up the dresses. And at this point, I'm like, oh my God, Victoria's team has to win. Victoria's team has to win. Like I can't even handle it if Victoria loses right now. And unfortunately, Victoria's team does win.
Yeah,
And did you notice she's like best friends with everyone on her team?
Oh yeah, all of a sudden, oh, we're all good. Yes. And so even some of the other women were like, "Oh, I'm glad Victoria's on my team." I guess they're glad because they're like, she might legitimately like take my head off if I'm on the other team. So like, thank God this, disturbed woman is on my team. Can you explain to me, since you seem to have paid a little closer attention to this portion of it, can you explain why Mari was the MVP?
Okay, so Mari, which by the way, I adore Mari. She has gotten slighted, like you've said a couple times, but she's so cute. She went and grabbed the heart because it's capture. So you're supposed to capture it and take it over to your side. And so she did that and started, and everyone like got on her to stop her.
Oh, okay.
And while she was doing that, it allowed the other team to win. So it was a very strong play on her part to do that. It was very bold.
Okay. Got
it.
But
MJ is the one that grabbed and won for their team.
Right.
I'm working on my spiral form, guys. Hold fast. I will.
Yeah, I know, right? I need it. But because, Mari was on the losing team, but because she is the MVP now, she gets to join the winning team. So our gold team says goodbye. And both Rachel and Katie. Now, I know you're a big fan of Katie. Jury's still out for me. Like I'm trying to feel her out and see how normal she actually is. But she seemed a little bit more normal to me this episode than the first one. But both she and Rachel are already crying about not getting to see him. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, even if the producer tells you to cry, just don't. Like
this is how you know that this whole situation is stressful and overwhelming, because there's no reason to be crying right now.
There's no reason.
Especially Rachel. Like Rachel, you are 100% high on his list. We know this. Like you might be his fiance. Like you're fine. And then Katie, like still all you did was you just don't get the night with him. Like you're okay, Katie.
It's all good. Yeah.
We don't need to cry here. And I feel like Katie is not a crier. It's probably just me saying that because I like her. I don't know. But I'm like, it's okay. Get some sleep. Stop drinking all the alcohol that they give you and no food. Like eat something. I just don't feel like they eat enough or sleep enough in this.
They don't. They do not. Yeah. So they're gone. And now I just kept thinking, like, how long did they have to give these women in between dates to get cleaned up? Because they all look, spotless when they go to the evening portion of the date. I'm like, that took them all a long time to shower and then to get full hair, full makeup. Like this is hours in between these two dates, but they all, look amazing, obviously, when they go to the cocktail party portion of it. And Lauren is the first person that we see get one-on-one time. And she is talking with Matt about how faith is important to her. And that feels like it's going to be a big thing this season because obviously Matt led us in a prayer on the first episode. So they're kind of bonding over, church being part of their lives.
Yeah. Well, as soon as she said faith, I was like, girl, I don't even know if you're being real or not, but those are like key words. Yeah. Like, if this could just be strategy, and I say good for you, that was the right thing to say. Hopefully she's being honest, but if not, good on you.
Well done. You're playing the game very well. Did she get a kiss?
I don't remember if she got a kiss but I feel like everybody did. I feel like
she may not have gotten a kiss until she got the rose.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I think maybe when she got the rose, she got a kiss. But then he sees Jasenia, and she asks for a kiss, and he is happy to oblige.
If he doesn't kiss you, it seems like you're asking for a kiss. Like they just want to make sure they can check that off their list. When Victoria shows up, she says, wait, this is not the night of the cocktail party. She's not in her finest.
Well, it's the cocktail party on the group date.
Right. So she's not in the outfit that I'm about to rip apart.
No.
Don't want to miss my opportunity, guys. It's coming. Okay. So she says some nonsense to him, and he says, can I walk you back? Which is not, hey, I'm enjoying hanging out with you. No. It's no. And she goes, can I have a kiss? And he was like,
Oh, yikes.
okay.
Yikes. Yeah. I mean, like Jasenia kind of, she asked for a kiss as well, but she did it in a cutesy way where he was like, I just want you to know, like, I'm seeing you and whatever. And, if there's anything I can do to make you feel more comfortable, just say the word. And she's like, how about a kiss? Like, that was kind of cute, right?
Right.
Victoria just is like desperately asking. I think he's like,
Yeah.
let's wrap this up and I'll take you back. And she's like, oh, but before we go, how about a kiss? She just, there's no segue naturally or anything there. It's just like, okay. And then he's like, okay. And
and then he has to kiss her again. We see no sparks. He's so not enjoying any of the time with Victoria. It's so obvious. And she's not reading the room correctly either, because I think she's mentally not well, is what it looks like. And she is delusional on what's happening between the two of them.
Yes, and generally she is delusional. So that once he goes back to Lauren, it was kind of weird the way they edited this, because the one-on-one time with Lauren was over, and then he had one-on-one time with Jasenia and Victoria, and then he goes to grab the rose, and Lauren's just on the same couch. I'm like, was she just sitting there the whole time? Like, did she not go back to be with the rest of the girls? But whatever. He, meets her back and gives her the rose, and then they kiss, I believe, and whatever. I can't talk about him kissing anymore.
It's so awkward the way that this is the second time that he's had to go walk into another room to grab the rose. And I don't remember that. Usually they do it together.
That's not uncommon, I would say. Okay. Like, I don't remember kind of how that went down. I think like on The Bachelorette, this most recent season, she gave it out in front of the whole group. Yeah.
She did it as a group.
This is like a thing where, he walks in and pulls it, and then all the girls know, like, oh, it's not me. He just took it and walked away.
Yes, and I guess that's good drama for TV, because it just seems awkward to me. He's like, hey, and then he grabs it, and they're all like,
yeah.
And then they watch him walk off, and they're like, who got it?
Right.
And then he has to go find Lauren, who's they must have edited that out of order. Like, he must have just went to get the rose for her after he finished talking to Lauren, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So
good for
that's
Lauren.
Kind of the group date. Yeah. Lauren's got her rose. And then in the midst of this, we find out that Sarah is our next one-on-one date. And that's kind of no surprise. Like, she was someone that stood out for me in the first episode. This is great. I'm automatically thinking, like, the family stuff is going to come up. Like, are we going to talk about this here? But before we get to that, she has to go on a tiny plane.
More extreme sports, because Matt wants to terrify these women on their first dates with him. He's like, here, I found this super tiny plane that is completely open on top.
I was like, she spent so long on her hair to get it ready for this date, and then it's just like, you've ridden in a convertible, yes, before?
Yes.
And your hair immediately is just knotted. Like, I felt so sorry for her having to, like, the hair is just in her face, and the cockpit is tiny, and she's trying to make it feel intimate, but it's just awkward. And I just would not be thrilled to be up in a tiny plane like that.
Okay, I'll take this over the ATVs, but it's not a great first date. Yeah, at least you got to cozy up. The two of them, basically had to hug the whole time. Yeah. So that's something. But yeah, I felt bad for her again. She's like, oh, how fun is this that we're, playing with our safety and our lives here. This is great.
Oh my God. Yeah. So then they land safely, thankfully, and they go to, talk now after their extreme sport. And did you notice when, they're talking about the importance of family?
Yeah.
And Matt is prompted here, I'm sure of it, by a producer to ask about the dad, because the question is like, oh, so you mentioned your mom is happy that you're here. What did your dad think? It's like so canned. And she's like, she's just not ready to talk about it in that moment. She's like, he's the best dad. He's so supportive. But she kind of just like, I think she knows she has to tell him, but she gets cold feet in telling him right then at that moment.
And this is when you really realize this is her life. This is real life. This is something
Mhm.
she lives with, and it's hard, and she doesn't necessarily want to talk about it. And so I feel bad for her that she had to go on the show and
Yeah.
will be forced to talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think your relationship with your dad might be important to him because he has already talked about it so much. I
Mhm.
do feel like this is going to be a question he asks everyone.
Yeah.
What's up with you and your dad? Like, I think he
Yeah.
wants to know that.
Yeah.
But obviously the producers were like, she's got something to tell you about her
Uh-huh.
dad, because
Yeah.
to us, he's like, she just didn't seem like she was opening up. Like something is
Yeah.
there, hoping to get more out of
Yeah.
her.
Right. So then when they go to the fancy dinner and conversation portion of the date, that's when she finally is like I have to tell you this. And
Yeah.
oh, this is so hard. Like she is clearly having a hard time with it. I'm certain that it's not easy for her to talk about. And she kind
Oh.
of fully explains to him like what ALS is. I don't know who doesn't know what ALS is anymore. Like we all saw the ice bucket challenge, but she's explaining that is it a disease or condition? I'm not sure the right word, but she's explaining
It
what it is.
it is because it's Lou Gehrig's disease as well.
Disease.
So
Yes, that's right. Right. Yes.
Um, yes, and there's so much more to it. I mean, like I can't imagine that seems like a very awful situation for your dad to go through while you're still very young,
Hmm.
and for her to have like just basically started her career, to make the
Yeah.
choice to leave that career to be a caretaker and get the last years with your dad. I mean, the diagnosis that it'll be 3 to 5 years to live, that's so
Yeah.
short. That is so
Yeah.
short that I can understand why you'd be like, "Well, I'm just gonna put everything else on hold because this is all I
Uh-huh.
have left with him."
Yeah. Right.
And I was super grateful that Matt phrased it that he feels so, like, lucky and privileged that she would make the choice to come leave her dad and come see him,
Yeah. Right.
because that's true.
He should feel that way. Absolutely. Like it's
Mhm.
a huge deal that she's away from her father. I think she mentioned that didn't she say that her father kind of like beat the projections and he's lived
Yeah.
longer than 5 years now. So I'm sure if it
I
was
think
like,
that it's been 5 years.
okay, yeah. So, I think that if there was any cause for concern, she would not be there. But with that disease, you never know, like people deteriorate pretty
Mm,
quickly sometimes with that
mm.
thing. So it really is a big deal that she's there. And I'm glad Matt kind of recognizes that. Um, and, he's basically like, wow, that you really opened up to me. And I think you're incredible that you're like a caretaker for your father at such a young
Yeah,
age. And, here's a rose. You're sticking
yeah,
around.
of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, does he call them pops?
Pops. Yeah. What's the deal with your pops? What's your relationship
Yeah.
with pops? And I'm like, stop that. Don't.
I I didn't even notice, but when I was watching Jolene and Busy talk about it, they went off like, "I don't wanna hear pops ever again."
No, it's too much. It's too much. But I mean,
Anyway,
honestly, that's like
pops.
basically what Matt's personality is because he does not have much of a personality otherwise. Yikes.
Oh, boy. Oh,
Personality
dear.
is kissing with his mouth and eyes open and saying the word pops. That's what we're getting from Matt. And chest and abs, like
Ooh.
you say.
Okay. Yep, yep,
Mm,
yep, yep, yep.
mm, mm,
Okay.
mm, mm.
Well, good job, Sarah. Okay, moving on. So now we're gonna have a cocktail party before a rose ceremony, yeah?
Uh-huh. Yes, right. Um,
This
oh,
is
yeah.
when
Here's your time. Please take
this
it away.
is when I mean, we see all the girls just like walking in. It's cocktail party time. We
Mhm.
see all these girls walking in, and I'm trying to see what Kit is wearing because honestly, that's all I care about this season is what
Yeah.
is Kit wearing. Why is she not posting her looks on Instagram? I'm like kind of angry about it. I messaged her. She doesn't know who I am, but I was like, Kit, I need you to put your looks online because we got like just the like neckline of this like black thing, and I was like, I bet it was
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm
Anyway,
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
that's that tangent. Then we see like I don't even know her name, but she had like silver knee-high boots, and I was like, "Yes, get it, girl."
Oh.
Whatever. And then Victoria walks in, and
Now,
I think
how
I
would you describe
gasped.
this? Yeah.
I went, and my sister and I watched it together, and my sister was like, "Ah!" And I was like, "Ah!" What is this?
What is it?
Oh.
It's like ruched up the sides. It's got a little cutout here, right under the bra line. It's kind of a square neck with a poof shoulder, more ruching down the arm. It feels like there's like extra strings and ties places that there don't need to be strings and ties. I don't know where she got that thing.
It's light pink satin with roses, like pink or red roses on it, which thank you for the rose thing. I'll give you that points for that. But when you first see her coming, you see like, the ruching and the like a puff sleeve is in, but this is like a puff sleeve. And you see a black bra strap here, like right here. These two are black bra straps. And I was like, I was like, oh, the black bra is back for an appearance. Then you see the back side and it's the full bra. It's the full black bra. And then down below it is the dress.
Yeah.
So first, I'm just going to say this is called a strapless bra, Victoria. It actually, like, it could have straps. So you could get one of these and like wear it with straps and then just take the straps off when you don't need it anymore. And also, this is called nude. This is a color that's closer to your skin. And then like if it peeks out, it's not black. Okay. So you guys just saw my bra and I just had to do it because Victoria, oh dear.
Now, okay, I'm curious here because my thought was when you see the whole back of the bra, it strikes me as a dress that's meant to be worn without one, right? Like maybe it's kind of a dress for smaller chested girls or women, who can wear a bra and not feel any kind of way about it. But would you say like a strapless bra is maybe okay for that look?
Okay, look, honestly, there are more options than a strapless bra because there is a danger because like you mentioned, there's a peak here, right? So the top actually is almost like a bathing suit. It doesn't actually like hit you here where like you might need a bra depending on her breast sizes. A smaller chested girl might be able to get away without a bra, but if you've got some boobs, they could just like come on out. Like you're gonna need to be tucked in some way. But like we have so many options. She could be just like taped in. Like she could just like tape here. Like there's just I feel like
but
someone just needed to consult with her. Also, if your bra is that high on the back of your back, it doesn't fit you. That's wrong. Like she just needs a bra consultation for someone to say, take these straps and make them longer. Because your bra shouldn't be like up on your shoulders.
It's so chaotic, the whole look. And I gotta say, look, I think the chat is thinking it, Sarah, so I'm gonna say it. You asked for this because you said, I'm so sick of these girls with their prom dresses and the sparkles and and now we've got variety, and this is what we end up with, okay?
We did actually have a lot of variety. There were some other dresses that were not a hot mess, so I'm not going to talk about them.
Right.
But
I mean, I think Serena C was in like a blazer dress kind of a moment, which I thought was cool. Like you're right, we're getting some variation.
I think she was the one with the boots. It was the blazer.
Oh, did she have the boots? Okay, yeah,
with boots. It was like such a great, and there was someone else with like a jumpsuit. Like there were great fashion choices. Honestly, I just want to watch their fashion because the kissing stuff is
save me from that, please.
Okay, so I was like just shook from the moment Victoria walked into the room. I was like, what are we watching? And then it just became worse from there.
Oh yeah. I mean, we get a little bit of normalness at the top with Abigail. She gets some one-on-one time. They make up an ear thing as though it's new, like Carol Burnett did this. Yeah. So, okay.
But honestly, Abigail probably has done that before, right? Don't you think Abigail has been like, give me a sign?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. That's cute.
Just because she's deaf, like
Yeah.
Hey, from a distance, you can just give me
Yep.
something.
Right.
So I liked it.
It's cute. I mean, she's adorable. Like, I still love her just as much as I did in the first episode. So, she was super cute with him. It was a great moment. He is obsessed with her. She's sticking around for a long time. I'm sure she'll get a one-on-one date very soon. Then we get Marilyn. Now, Marilyn got no time with Matt this week. She was not on that group date that had everybody else on it. And she is like nervous, to kind of like sit down with him. And he's like, no, like, what are you talking about? He's like, I thought it was funny that he was like, just because you're not on the group date doesn't mean I'm not thinking about you. And I'm like, no, you're not thinking about her because you forgot she was there, because there are still way too many women in this, resort for you to remember. Like, let's be honest.
Thinking about anyone, honestly.
Yeah, no.
I don't know who these people are.
Right. But he's, comforting her, and they kind of have what seems like a normal one-on-one time. And then Victoria pulls him aside to trash Marilyn.
Yes, but don't forget, he served up a lovely orchid.
My God. Oh my God. Sarah, it's like Matt is producing himself. I'm like, do not tell me that a producer on The Bachelor came up with the idea of putting an orchid in a vase and then just placing it behind the couch for him to go and be like, I got this for you. What? Yeah. That was so weird.
Here's my theory, because it was so weird, that he wanted Marilyn on the group date. And the producers were like, we got to have Victoria. And he was like, ooh, no, I don't want Victoria. And they were like, we need Victoria. And so in the conversation, the producers were like, well, how about, like, we'll do something special for Marilyn later. And he was like, her favorite flower is an orchid. And so it was a compromise, is what
he did not say that. He said, can we do something special for Marilyn? Like, what do you think? And they're like, oh, well, we're the producers and we know that her favorite flower is orchid, so we'll do the orchid thing. And he was like, okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, yes. That makes more sense. Does he know that her favorite flower? Did we hear that her favorite flower was orchid? Because if we heard it, we missed it too.
I absolutely missed it. There's no way he remembered that. Yeah. So for some reason, Marilyn thinks that he did remember that. Whatever.
So she like walks back to the group with like, oh, look at my housewarming gift that he got me. Oh my God. When we, the company that David and I used to work for, whenever we got a new hire, we purchased orchids for them. Like that was the like, welcome to the company gift. So that's just what I think. Like she's walking through and she was like, I've been hired. I have an orchid. And she sets it down and Victoria's like, I don't like your orchid. Let me, hold my beer, basically.
Exactly. Like, I'm about to ruin your night. So she pulls Matt and she's like, Marilyn is toxic. I am having to sleep on the couch. She basically forced me from our room. She's my ex-roommate. She's toxic. She said toxic like 18,000 times. Then she's like, but I'm staying positive. And I'm like, Victoria, there's something amiss up here.
Oh my God. Also, what's amiss is because I already ranted and raved about her bra. But by this time, her eye bags. I don't know what has happened before she gets to talk to Matt, but all of her makeup is gone and sleeping on the couch is just showing up big time.
It's not going well. Yeah.
The bags are bulging under her eye. It makes her look more insane. I'm very worried about her at this point. And she's like, I know I'm confident, but I also have insecurities and I felt fat. Is this when she said I felt fat, or was that her
I don't even remember her saying that.
It might have been on the group date, but at one point she was like, I was trying on wedding dresses and I felt fat. And it was one of those moments where a girl, unfortunately girls do this, but they're like, I just feel fat today. And then they're waiting for you to say, oh my gosh, no way. You're not fat. Yeah. He didn't say it. He didn't pick up on that. She's like, I feel fat. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, we all have insecurities. And and then she was like, and also Marilyn is toxic.
Oh my God. And I'm very much questioning Matt's ability to read people and his judge of character, because he walks away from this conversation like, well, I gotta talk to Marilyn. This is not acceptable. Like, seemingly believing Victoria.
Right.
And I'm like, how is that even within the realm of what you would be thinking? What?
Right. She is giving off delusional every inch of her day, and he had this lovely time with Marilyn. Why would he immediately be like, oh my God, I believe you 100%. No, he gets up, he's like, thank you for telling me. And also the word toxic is a valid word, but like, what is it that she's doing that's toxic? If you just say someone is toxic over and over again, I'm going to be like, how so? Like, what did they do? We got
nothing.
She did this. She said this. All it was is like, I can't be her roommate. She's toxic.
Yeah. Right.
So off he goes to get Marilyn. And she's like, am I in trouble?
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And so he pulls her aside, and all the girls are like, the girls are starting to be like, what is happening? Like, why does Marilyn get to talk to him twice now? Like, some of us haven't spoken to him once. Like, this is not fair, blah, blah, blah. And then Marilyn is just kind of like, how did I get here? Mm-hmm. Like, well, I want to kill the producer who put me in the room with her, because this is not my problem. Like, this woman is not well, and I am being roped into this. And she literally has done nothing from what we've seen on the show. So she's just kind of trying to stay calm.
Right.
On Matt, like, that's not what's happening. I think that she handles it pretty well. She's just trying to like clear her name a little bit, but also not like trash Victoria. She wasn't like overly harsh or like, the instinct would be to like react and like accuse Victoria of a bunch of stuff. But I think Marilyn, for the most part, is just kind of like, no, like, I really think that's a mischaracterization of me. And like, I hope you don't think that that's who I am, and et cetera, et cetera.
I also feel like they edited most of what she said out, because it was just kind of basic stuff of like, oh no. And then he gets up and he said something that clued me into like, well, we missed what she actually said. Cause he was like, well, if you're saying it didn't happen, when she didn't say that didn't happen, so I was like, what did she actually say? Like, what did we miss here? Yeah. He's like, I got to figure this out. And he now, this is just such a trope. Like, he's being told about drama, and now he's got to figure out what it's about. And it's like, oh, such a waste of all of our time.
Yeah. Well, and then Marilyn goes over and tries to like clear things up with Victoria, and all the other girls are like, we're going to give you time. And they like get up and walk away. And Marilyn like sits next to Victoria. Victoria says, I don't want to sit next to you. So she gets up and moves to the other couch. And then I feel like Marilyn's kind of messing with her a little bit. And she's like, it's super loud. Can I just move there? And she's like, no, I do not want you to move there. You can like sit, you can face me and, explain yourself. And she's just saying like, we're oil and vinegar, which doesn't make sense because those actually go together. I think she means oil and water.
David, do you remember I said that? There is a clip of me somewhere that I said, it's like, I think I put it in our reel. That's why I remember it. And so I was like, it's like oil and vinegar. And I was like, wait a minute, that's salad dressing. It's like oil and water. And then she said oil and vinegar. And I was like, that's salad dressing.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you have something in common with Victoria. I'm sorry.
Oh, we also went to the same college. I've got a couple things in common with Victoria.
And then Victoria ends this confrontation by getting up and storming off and saying, you're too much. I can't handle it. And legitimately, I don't think I've ever seen anyone be less in an argument. Marilyn is so calm and measured and is not, getting inflamed by Victoria's nuttiness,
I mean, could you imagine talking to Victoria? Like, Marilyn is genuinely like, how can we figure this out? Like she's a mediator. She's like, what do we need to do here? How do we figure this out? And Victoria's like, I will sit on another couch. You are awful. And like you just like you can't talk to her. Like you can't reason with someone who's unreasonable. Like it just doesn't. I don't know.
And then they're all in a group. They gather back on the big couches, and Kayla's like, Victoria, may I ask why you felt the need to talk about drama with Matt tonight? And so she's there defending herself, and I wanted to know such and such. And then we see Katie kind of stand up to her, and she's like, I don't think you actually needed to know that, Victoria. And I'm like, get her, Katie, get her. Like, I want to see more of this.
That's the Katie I like. I'm like, don't cry. Be that Katie. This is, get it, girl. Get it. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you just like look at the room, like Victoria's over here, and then all of the girls are like hugging Marilyn, and like, it's okay. Like, you just have to look at that if you are Matt, and you would be like, okay, I get it. Like, I see what's happening here. But unfortunately, I think that the producers are really working an angle here, and Matt's kind of stuck.
Yeah, no, they're like, sorry, you're contractually bound to keep Victoria for at least 5 rose ceremonies or something like that. So we then head to the rose ceremony, and Piper gets the first rose. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't get any screen time this episode. Usually there's like some kind of like, oh, that makes sense. Of course she gets the first rose. She's like, she made a big impression this week. But Matt, I think he's just flying, by the seat of his pants here and making up his own rules. So Piper, their first rose.
Piper. Okay, good. Good that he likes you, Piper. You seem fine. But yeah, we got no hints on that. He gave Kit the next one, and I was like, oh, yay. Like, I didn't get to see her fashion, but great. Keep her around. Rachel's in there, of course. Chelsea, Katie.
Yes. Maggie gets a rose.
And then Sarah passes out.
Yeah, what is happening here? And it also felt like the way they included this in the episode was weird. Like, normally there's like a soundbite from somebody else. Like, all of a sudden, Sarah's off the platform, like some kind of like explanation, but there's no explanation here. So we're just like watching what kind of feels like raw footage in some moments, because it's like BTS with the medic coming in and whatnot. But did you notice that it was actually Bree who was off the platform first? Like, she was on the ground already when Sarah then is like losing her balance. I don't know if Bree could tell she was about to fall and was like, I got to get down and like potentially catch her. But it was just a strange situation all around. And I'm not sure why Sarah's passing out in this moment.
I'll tell you why Sarah's passing out in the moment. They don't feed these girls, but they do shovel a ton of booze down their throat. They've been in these dresses for hours. Like, these these cocktails, like what at cocktail parties and rose ceremony, like, it's, you've got lights, you've got cameras, you've been standing, they lined them up, it takes time. And anyone who has been in a choral group knows you get up on those risers and sometimes your knees buckle and you go down.
Yeah, maybe she like locked her knees. You're supposed to keep a little bit of a bend in the knee there, but you're totally right. Like, I have heard that these women do not eat at all in advance of the rose ceremonies because they want to fit in their dresses. And then like once the rose ceremony is over, they have like a massive pizza party and like stuff. But she's probably like starving and tipsy.
And they just go on a long time. So if you're like, oh, I won't eat till later, but you've had a couple, glasses of champagne or something, and you just don't realize. And so I'm sure her blood sugar was just low. It's not a big deal. I'm sure she's fine. But of course, they're putting it in the show to make it so dramatic.
Oh, I'm surprised they didn't like call an ambulance. Like, that's classic Bachelor behavior of like, somebody stubbed their toe, call 911. Like, they want to make it the most dramatic possible.
Well, and they did. Like, I think they made it so dramatic for COVID times. They show us Bree, like, obviously Bree had a heads up. Like, she stepped down first. She's there. Like, something's wrong with Sarah. She takes her over and is like, sit down. We see like crew just like chilling on a couch. They're like, oh, something's going on.
Oh, get out of the way.
Yeah. We get all of this BTS footage because they're like, how do we make this more dramatic?
Yeah. Right.
She's like, we need a medic. Then they show Matt being like, what's happening? And like, Matt has to go over.
He walked over.
Yeah. So exactly. She's fine. Sarah's going to be fine. But unfortunately, that's it. That's the end of the show. We don't get to see who goes home.
I know. But I'll tell you this, it's not Victoria. She will probably get the last rose again. She's probably going to get the last rose every rose ceremony that she's here. But she's not going away.
She's not. I mean, unfortunately, they show us previews and Victoria's in all of them. So we know she's solidly in. But we didn't see any of Marilyn. She was
I'll
not.
Be sad if she goes. I
so
will be
sad
if she goes home.
Like they have to keep both of them. If you're going like obviously Victoria should go, but if you're going to keep Victoria for television, you have to keep Marilyn too, right?
For the drama. Yeah, like but it looks like coming up we get more Katie and Victoria confrontation drama. So I'm into that because Katie seems like someone who will shut you down. You know, if you need to be shut down. And Victoria needs to be shut down, frankly.
Frankly, she does. David's not feeling Matt so much.
I'm not. I think he's so boring. I think it's like he still, you know, I'll give him a little bit of time, I guess, to like get settled in, but he really feels like he has no idea where he is. I'm not seeing a ton of personality. Like I said, he's not smooth at all. He's not funny. I don't think he's particularly interesting. I'll stop saying mean things, but I'm not the biggest fan of him so far.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. He's not funny. There's nothing like really being like, oh, he's so exciting. Like he is missing some sort of spark. I don't call him boring, but yeah, he doesn't have some extra, you know, it factor that that makes me think, why did they choose him for the Bachelor? But maybe it's just because this is his first time. Like maybe you're right. Like we have to warm up to him or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's
warm up to us.
He clearly is like, you know, on the group date when Chris is like, they're going to do this fight. There's a little bit of Matt who's like, what is going on? Like, what? I think he doesn't fully have his head around like what he signed up for. And I think maybe he's not quite as prepared as we're used to seeing the Bachelors in terms of handling these like heavy emotional conversations. He kind of doesn't quite know what to say in the moment yet. So, you know, I think he'll probably like figure it out, but it's slow going so far. But
also he doesn't have that ego of someone who's already done it. The people who've already done it, they come in and they're like, I am the Bachelor and you will love me. I've done that. You like, so maybe that's all it is. Maybe he's just lacking that like ego.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah. And I honestly, like when he came in for the rose ceremony cocktail party at the end of the episode, he kind of made a comment about like, oh, I feel like I'm never going to be not nervous around you ladies. And I think that's genuine. Like, I think he is super nervous. And I don't think you expect a guy who looks like that to be insanely confident. And I don't think he necessarily is overly confident. Not that he's like cripplingly insecure by any means, but I don't think that he's like got a ton of swagger, you know?
Right. Like Zach. Sorry. That's what Tasha said.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, and this is the perfect time to bring it up on the show. Yes. Guess who I saw in Venice the other day?
Did you see Tasha and or Zach? Ben
Smith. Yes. I was walking on the beach with my friend. Yes. That's his whole thing is he loves Venice. And I was walking down the beach and I turned to my left and I was like, that is Ben Smith. What is the life? It was so crazy. I forgot to tell you.
Was he working out or anything or just like
he was not. I think he took his shirt off and got in the water. I did see that. But he wasn't working out. But I guess getting in the ocean and swimming. Maybe he was surfing.
How'd he look with that shirt off? He looked all right.
Looked good. He looked pretty good.
All right, good. Way to go, Ben. Living that Venice life. That beach life.
Yes.
I will not hate on Zach, not at all. I just couldn't find the swagger. But I love him now.
Leave Zach alone.
So happy. I am on the Zach and Tasha train now. I get it. I learned my lesson.
I don't know that I believe you, but okay.
I just didn't see the swagger. I just didn't. I just missed that part, but I get it.
Okay.
Team Zach and Tasha all day, every day.
You're selling it too hard.
Okay, I'm gonna just move on. What I'm not team is Victoria. So I've done a lot of research on Victoria because it's just like, is it an act? Because if it's an act, I think you've ruined your reputation, right? Like it went too far.
Yes.
And also the bags under the eyes makes me think it's not an act. Like we got actual issues. Like they were severe.
Like everyone else looks
flawless.
Like they spend so much time getting camera ready. And she just is kind of like, I guess I'll like put SPF on and call it a day. And maybe a little bit of mascara, you know?
Look, I get it. Like, hello, I don't wear a lot of makeup. Like I probably would look like I have no makeup on next to all of those girls. And so I'm not saying you have to wear makeup, but when your bags are that bad, I'm worried about you. And yes, let's get a little cover up on it. But because I did research on her and I was trying to figure out, that's how I found out she went to my college.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but she's so much younger than me. Like I don't know her. But she took confidence coaching. There is some woman who has a blue check mark, she's famous, who is a confidence coach. I have never heard of one. I don't know what that is. It's not a life coach. It's just confidence coach. And the woman was like, oh my gosh, Victoria's on The Bachelor. I confidence coach her. Like she's one of my clients. And now I'm like, oh, you might want to take that stuff down.
You honestly, you overcoached her. She's too confident.
She's so confident that I think it's really just insecurities.
Yeah, right. It's like circled back around, you know, she's just, I think it's just to this point where it's like everything that is something that maybe I should work on is perfectly fine. And I'm never changing it. You know, like she is just so.
And everything you are saying is wrong. Yeah. Like whatever you just said, I'm going to say it's wrong. And then I'm going to tell you the definition of what you just said, but that it's wrong. And yeah, I was like, I don't think you should brag that you are her confidence coach because it's not a good advertisement.
Well, I guess, you know, there's no such thing as bad press, they say. But yeah,
that's what they say, but I feel like there is.
This is bad press.
This is bad press.
We are here to say this is bad press.
I mean, will you be on Bachelor in Paradise? Wait, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes, of course you're going to be on it. Yes, you will. But are you going to be able to get a real job? I don't think so.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that's that.
At least she's given us something to talk about.
I almost wore like a big black bra just showing through my clothes, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But that's how like shook I was.
Oh God.
I was real shook by that outfit. Well, that's this week of The Bachelor.
Yeah, this is quite the season so far.
It is a mix of extreme sports, slightly boring and slightly crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a
good mix.
Thank you guys so much for joining us live in the chat. Keeping us on our toes.
Truly. And if you're watching us later, like, I don't need tell us what you think about Victoria. I think I know what you think about Victoria. Do you feel bad for Marilyn here?
Blue loves Victoria. So maybe there are people who love it.
People do love her. Yeah. I mean, I think there's like a certain, you know, part of the Bachelor Nation who see this as like, she's an excellent villain. She's TV gold. And that is true. But like when someone,
I don't think it is.
I really can't get past it. I'm just like, you're being the worst. Like, it's not even fun to watch you be a villain here.
Yeah, I don't feel like she's being a villain. I feel like she's just like a cranky, negative Nancy. Like it's just not fun to watch. So I disagree. But yeah, please tell us how you feel about Victoria and Matt. Like you had good points about Matt.
I did have good points about him being very boring. Yes. So let me know if you agree.
Thank you. We are like salad dressing.
Oh, yeah.
We go together.
Thank you, Lori.
Yes. Yes, guys, leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Monday, we will be live for Drag Race at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then we'll be back a week from tonight, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific for The Bachelor.
I love it.
Okay, we'll see you then.
All right. See you later.
Bye.